So today I'm trying to mow my 5th cut silage. This video will be mowing at the start, and then on Monday, which is 2 days time, we will be trying to lift this silage, so you'll get to see that as well in this video. But mowing is proving quite challenging. And to say the fields are wet would be a massive understatement. But I'm mowing on regardless, because hopefully we have 2 dry days in the forecast ahead of us, and we're not planning to lift this until Monday. Currently it's Saturday, so I'm hoping ground conditions will have improved a lot for when we go to lift this, provided I can get the grass cut and get some air and some light down to the ground to dry off the surface. The fields are only wet on top, and it's like a really slimy, slippy layer, and that's causing me the problems. You'll see the tracks behind me now as we go through this wet spot, and we're making it through. We're just splashing our way through it. So hopefully by Monday that issue will have improved significantly. So when we come in with the harvester and the trillers, we're not making such a mess and we don't track the fields. And hopefully we can get up this tiny little gradient with a trailer, because that is a big worry, is that we will not be able to lift up the hill, and I'm going to have to like drive around the road to just come down the whole day. That would be a nightmare. I have done that once before and I never want to repeat it. I had to reseed the field after that time. So how did we end up in this situation? I am sliding sideways currently. Oh dear. I'm going to put on dip lock to mow. Can you see the track behind me? Yeah, you can. It's wet. I really need butterfly mowers, but then that'll be heavier. I don't know if it'll be better or not. But the reason we've ended up in this situation is... Sorry, let me just try to get up this hill first. Is that this field is hybrid Italian ryegrass. It grows really fast. It was reseeded last year, and normally we like to do 4 cuts of silage. A 4-cut silage system is perfect, but because of this grass variety, and because it was cut early in May, maybe April, we've ended up having to do 5 cuts. It just grew too fast. And plenty of years, with a dry September, we would have got away with this. We would have got our 5 cuts, no problem. But this year was just not one of them years. So we've ended up on the 7th of October trying to do silage. If you're wondering why you can't see out of my back window very well, it's because after mowing the first field, I got out to fold up the wings of the mowers, and I realised there was hydraulic fluid absolutely everywhere, and my steering pump had been dumping every litre of hydraulic oil out of this tractor. So I had to go home, fix the loose connection on the steering pump. That's the 2nd time it's happened, so I'll have to get it fixed properly the next time. I'm going to go finish mowing this field. I'll catch up with you if either I get stuck or if I start the 2nd field, and we'll see how we get on then. Well, that wasn't a lot of fun. It doesn't look too bad, but believe me when I say, if that does not dry a heck of a lot by Monday, that's going to be a reseed job next year after we lift the silage off that. Gonna need a good wash after this. This is actually pretty dry, and come Monday, after 2 days of sunshine, grass dry matter won't be a problem. It's just getting it off the field without bringing half the field with us in the silage trailer in the form of clay and dirt, or getting stuff stuck or making such a mess that we would have been better just leaving it on the field. So if there's any parts of these fields that we can't get lifted, like for example that slippy hill that I was sliding sideways with the mowers, never mind trying to pull the silage trailer up it, it does give next week fairly dry, and the ground will dry out now it's been opened up and the grass has been taken off. So my plan there will be probably head over in a week's time with the harvester and just blow the swathe around the field and let it rot and decompose over winter. But for now, we need to evaluate whether we're going to mow this field. And right away, again, it feels dry, like it feels firm under my feet. And it has to come off. We cannot leave this crop of grass here for the next 6 months. So I'm going to mow it. The big problem here is we have to go up the hill. Every other run is up the hill. So long as I can get it mowed up the hill, we should be fine. We'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. This next field does have a lot more drains in it, a lot of gravel tunnels. So maybe it's dried out more, maybe it'll be firmer, maybe it'll be dry. I won't actually have any problems, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to give it a go. It's going to take me hours to wash these mowers after this. We're going to very quickly find out if this is the end of our mowing experience today, or if we'll get another field done. I think this field will be drier, but I'm always over optimistic. If we can make it up the hill, we're fine, right? There's no wet spots in this field. The entire thing was drained really well. It's looking really good so far. Look behind me. No massive tracks yet. Right, here we go. We're going up the hill. Good. I am not slipping. Oh, never mind. The tracks are back. I think it's workable. It's going to be messy, but I think it's workable. However, if we hit one wet band anywhere along this side of the hill, we're goosed. We're not getting up this. And we made it. We made an awful mess doing it, but that was about as much fun to do as it looked. This field was okay. Spot at the top was awful. Made a real mess, dirtied the grass. Might not even get it lifted, it's that wet. It's not a big area, it's just a wee tiny bit at the top of that hill. Rest of the field was okay. We're now going to go and check the final field. It's 17 acres. There's no way I'm mowing it today. This field has always been wetter than these two fields, and these two fields were just about passable. So what I'm going to do is going to go in here, walk through it, see what it's like, potentially come back and mow this tomorrow on Sunday. I'm not really sure, to be honest. More likely option is that we lift all that stuff on Monday and we see what the weather's like next week. And there's a chance that it will stay dry for most of next week. And this is a manageable amount of grass for us to bale. So if we get the other 30 acres lifted in the pit, it leaves a sensible amount to try to bale if we get the opportunity. Can you hear the squelching? Yeah, this is wet. This is very wet. I'm not mowing this today or tomorrow. Great crop of grass on it. Look at the amount of grass. This is the problem. It has to be taken off. There is no option to leave this. So much grass on it. And that's actually what's stopping it drying out as well. It's just the amount of grass. Yeah, the soil is literally soaking. Right, I'm not mowing this today, I'm not mowing it tomorrow. We're going to get the stuff we have mowed in, and that's going to be a big enough challenge. And if it dries up for a week at some point, we'll come in here and bale all of this. Anyway, I'm heading home. Got to hook the mowers off. Give the tractor a quick power hose, try to get all that hydraulic oil off it. The case tractor is going to be on the compactor on Monday. I've already got the 8S on the JF ready to go. I'm going to have to drop the tyre pressure in the 8S down to like 6 psi or something, because getting this stuff lifted is going to be no fun. But you get to see that right now, whereas I have to wait till Monday to see how it goes. So hope you enjoy me struggling to lift this and get it out of the fields. And I dread to think what the fields are going to look like when I'm finished. I've probably used a photo of a really messy bit as a thumbnail, so you probably know before me, but maybe it'll not be too bad. If the weather forecast is wrong and it rains at any point, we are screwed, like absolutely screwed. I'll see you on Monday morning. Welcome back to Monday morning. I have, oh dear, we're slipping already. Bring the harvester in behind me. I have almost 2/3 lifted. It was a very stressful morning, hence why I'm only turning the camera on now. This is not going to be a very polished video. Sorry, I have to concentrate. I'll talk to you on the way down the hill. That bit that we just passed is by far the wettest acre out of the 26 we're lifting today. And the final field will be a lot drier than this one, so this is about as bad as it gets. I figured this would be the bit you want to see, rather than me just travelling over half decent ground conditions. And that trailer is sliding sideways. Silage in October is such a bad idea. I'd say there's a 50% chance this works. We're trying to go up a hill we just came down. It's not, might happen, I don't know. I'm going to have to bring the harvester in line again. Any mistakes here and we're goosed, because I cannot stop. I've made a mistake. Okay. I wasn't even worried. It looks worse than it is. Well, it's not great either, but the main goal today is to get the grass off the field so it doesn't rot over winter and we have a nice crop come April. And try to do as little damage as possible. So getting the actual grass into the silage pit rather than rotting in the field is like it's a nice bonus, but it is not the main goal. And try to do as little damage as possible. We have the perfect team of silage trailers today. We have two 18-foot Donnellys and two 16-foot Johnsons. Why anyone buys anything other than Donnellys and Johnsons is totally beyond me. Why is the other tractor coming down the hill? There's a road which goes to the bottom of the field. What the frick? Oh dear. It's fine. He's not doing a lot of damage. It's a very light setup for lifting silage. So today I have 5 trailers carting. I think I just said I had 2 Donnellys and 2 Johnsons. I've got 3 Donnellys. And normally we could lift this, we could live with 3, but ideally we'll have 4. But because it's so wet, I've got 5 today. Wow, it honestly on camera, it looks worse than it is. Which, does it? No, actually I've changed my mind. It looks like it is. Probably need to get some drains in there and get gravel tunneling done next year. So I'll add it to the list of things I need to spend money on that I don't have money to spend on. I think the last time we lifted this field and it was wet was 2016, and we ended up reseeding it the year after. But this was only reseeded last year, so it would be really bad to have to reseed it. I don't think we will have to reseed it, to be honest. I think it'll be fine. Oh dear. Our neighbour set out flower pots to stop us driving on his tarmac, and I crushed one with the JF coming into this field, like totally flattened it, and I see he's just went out and realised. So I'm going to try to avoid eye contact. He's surveying the scene. I apologise. Oh dear. Oh dear. I feel bad. To be fair, I have enough problems today without worrying about flower pots. Okay, so that is the second field of 3 finished. That's also the wettest field, so I'm very relieved to have that done. The next field should be all nice, fairly dry ground, apart from one spot at the top of the hill, which is going to be a swamp. But it's a very small spot, so I'm not too worried. You can see the field behind me. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. I'm actually happy enough. There's no deep tracks, it's all just surface damage. With heavy rain coming on Tuesday night, and what I'll do is I'll pop back over on Tuesday or Wednesday and I'll finish this video with a clip of the field 2 days after. Okay, so welcome to the third and final field, also the driest field. No, second driest field. The first one was definitely the driest field. Problem with this field is getting up the hill. So it's a massive hill up, and then down the way there's no real issues. But hopefully, if I can get to the top of the hill with this trailer, it's a good sign. Really heavy crop. I'm down to 6k, which is probably not far off normal. We tend to run in the range of 6 to 8k, so it's on the lower end of what speed we go, but we're still getting on well. We're 3 hours in and we've lifted 20 acres, and I've been dealing with challenges today because the ground has not been handy. This will be the last field of the year for the JF. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not saying anything, but we're nearly there, we're nearly finished. The JF will be heading off for a good service this winter, getting all new blades, a new PTO shaft, new slip clutch. I might even get some of the panels resprayed because the paint started to flake a wee bit. A new one of these today is like 75 grand, and this is only 3 or 4 years old, 2019, 4 years old. So I want to look after it, take care of it, because that is by far the cheaper option. The tractor did make it up the hill, so that's made my life a lot handier for the next half an hour, 40 minutes. I have 2 trailers at the bottom of the hill. There's a lane to the top of the hill. Why did they... Ah! I do not understand why people cannot use the lanes when I've spent a fortune of money to build them. To be fair, they don't know about the lane. I didn't tell them, so it's entirely my fault. But still. I'll show you the lane that I spent a lot of money to make. He was not going to go out the lane either. Way over there is the road, and I built a lane all the way in through here, through this forest, through this other field, all so we could get out at the top of this field. So they better flip and use it. It was like 20 grand. Okay, rant's over. Back to silage. There's 2 trailers at the other end of the field, and they're sitting waiting for me because they don't know this lane exists. So they don't know there's another exit of the field. So how long do you think it'll be before they drive up here? I'm going to guess 5 minutes. Well, I'm going to have some Jaffa cakes and a Red Bull while I wait for them to figure out that I'm sitting here waiting for them. And I don't have their number. Before you say, why do I not just call them? Okay, it's now been like 4 minutes on my invisible watch and they're still not here, so I'm going to have to make a phone call to get someone else to make a phone call to tell them that I'm up here waiting. So well, have a trailer. So I'll give you my thoughts on the JF 1260, or Kongskilde as it is actually known. I always wanted a 1460 JF, but the reel on it is 3.6 meters, and it just wasn't going to work. It was just too big, and I would have had to like modify my lane to my farm. I would have had to take out a lot of gate posts. You get the idea. It's just the reel on is too big. So whenever they announced the 1260, and I seen it for the first time, I honestly thought they'd built a harvester just for me. A massive trailed harvester with a sensible sized reel, which means that the overall width of this harvester with the wide tires is 3.3 meters. So it's still very wide, but it's manageable. We have no real issue. We widened one lane, widened a few gates, but it's not been a problem. And so far, after 3 years of using it, I have been extremely happy with it. It's been fairly reliable. Up until this year, it gave no problems. This year, I broke it 3 times, which is not great. I say I broke it. It was a combination of the 8S having so much horsepower and me trying to live stream on TikTok at the same time as using it. So I burnt the slip clutch out of it on the first cut, and then I broke the chain which drives the top feed roller on the second cut, because again I was live streaming on TikTok. And then on the fourth cut I burnt the slip clutch out of it again for a second time. So the slip clutch issue and the chain issue are really all related, and it is that if I make a mistake and take in a giant lump or something like that, whereas on the Puma that we used to lift with, it would have died back the revs, things would have slowed down. The Puma didn't have the horsepower to drive it on. The 8S does, and it just refuses to give up. Oh my goodness. Did you see how close that was? Let me get in a nice straight row and I'll continue my thoughts on the JF. This will be the most challenging row of the whole field along this hedge is quite wet, so I don't want to say I've left it for the John Deere on purpose, but if the John Deere fails whenever the New Holland made it up, it would be good content. Oh dear, I just hit him in the face with grass. And the John Deere has a big weight block, the New Holland did not, so the difference between a 1260 JF and a 1460 is that the 1260 has the drivetrain, the gearboxes, the hydraulic shafts of a 1460, but it has the pickup rail and the chopping box and the feed rollers of a 1060. So if you imagine, it's just a beefed up version of a 1060 that can handle more grass and handle more horsepower. But the downside to it is that it also requires more horsepower to make it run effectively. So this 8S is a 8S 265. He is very close to me. Why is he so close? It boosts out to 285, and I would say we have reached the limit of what the harvester can take regarding horsepower. The harvester is rated up to 280 horsepower, so we're basically at that rating, and it seems to be a fairly good place to set the maximum horsepower rating. The 1460 JF has a bigger chopping box and a bigger intake, but anecdotally, so I have no way of proving this is just what people tell me, this could be total nonsense. Anecdotally, the 5-blade chopping box on the 1460 is not as good as the 4-blade chopping box on the 1060. Don't ask me why, I was just told that by people who should know. The only way I'm ever going to know for sure is if I ever get a 1460 to try out. Top of this hill is extremely wet, so I'm going to send him on. This is the only wet spot in this field. So yeah, I'm very happy with my 1260. The future for me and lifting grass myself, I'm definitely going to keep lifting grass myself. I see a lot of benefits to it, a lot of advantages. I potentially will buy a second 1260 in, say, 8, 9, 10 years time, if there's nothing new or nothing better out there, and park this one in the shed as a spare. There's a chance in 10 years time that I might decide to go down the self-propelled route. Everyone sort of expects that I will. But my reasoning behind not buying a self-propelled in the first place, all of the points and the reasons, they still remain. So a big self-propel is a heavier vehicle. It's more expensive to buy, a lot more expensive. And you're way more likely to have breakdowns and issues which put you out of action and mean that you have to pay someone else to lift your grass, if you can even get someone. And with tractors becoming higher and higher horsepower, I can see somewhat of a resurgence in demand for large trailed harvesters, which will hopefully encourage them to keep being developed and improved. As for my thoughts on the 8S, I am obviously extremely biased since I bought it. But I never planned to buy an 8S, and that is the truth. I knew I needed a new tractor just for reliability's sake, and it just was a time to change a tractor. But I was pretty set on a Puma 240. But I got a demo of an 8S 225 last summer, and within half an hour of driving it, I had my decision made that unless the 8S was significantly more expensive than the Puma, I was buying an 8S. Best thing about this tractor, by far, is the cab. It is so spacious, it's so much bigger than every other tractor I've ever driven. And besides that, if you look at the actual raw numbers and cab size, it's not actually that much bigger than, say, a 250R John Deere. But because it's designed like a self-propelled cab or a combine cab, and the top of the cab is larger than the base, whilst the area might not be that much bigger, it feels a lot bigger. So I'm 6'5.5", and you've seen me sitting in this cab earlier. I have so much space. I have tons of space behind me before the back window. I have tons of space above my head. I have zero complaints about the cab in this tractor. The big downside, the big negative of this tractor, which I've found so far, is definitely the Dyna 7 gearbox. It is perfect on the road, couldn't fault it, really smooth changes, really nice gearbox. But see, for doing jobs like this in the field, it can be really stupid sometimes. And you end up not wanting to change gear because it's jolty and just slow, delayed. I could go on. But the good points of this tractor more than make up for the bad points. It's got tons of power, an incredible turning circle, And best of all, it was very well priced, with a 5-year warranty that included everything. If you didn't see my silage video a few weeks ago, it included the costs, but I'll give you a really quick summary now. Basically, it costs about the same as a contractor for me to do my own silage, and that includes the outrageous depreciation of £120 an hour on the 8S. So that cost will come down. The big benefit of doing silage yourself from a financial point of view is you have a much better cash flow. So my cash cost for doing this today will be paying 3 guys with tractors and trailers, paying for diesel for everything else, and paying for some extra help. It's about half of the cost it would be in cash terms versus hiring a contractor. This could be embarrassing for the New Holland if it doesn't make it. I've spent a lot of money on silage equipment over the last few years. Really started in 2016 with them silage trailers. And since then we changed 2 silage trailers, 2 mowers, new JCB, new buck rake, new harvester, new tractor to drive the harvester, a silage compactor. I think that's it. So I've invested a lot of money in it. But everything but this tractor is all paid off, so it's not really an ongoing cash cost, which makes a big difference. The grass is actually surprisingly dry, so I reckon it'll probably come out at 24–25% dry matter. And it's getting EcoSil inoculant, if I could remember to turn on the inoculator. And it is being rolled with the compactor as it's filled. So whilst 5th cut silage in October potentially could be hard to ferment, it shouldn't really be an issue. The combination of EcoSil and a relatively high dry matter and a well compacted silage pit should mean it won't be a problem. It's going to be a tough corner to get around. To be fair, he is a very good trailer driver. I need to stop commenting on my trailer drivers. All my trailer drivers are fantastic, okay? They actually are. They're all brilliant. Oh, slippy. I'm very glad I've got the flotation tyres on this JF today. Okay, we'll be finished here in the next 15 minutes. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4 load left maybe. So I'll catch up with you back at the silage pit when I'm finished. And I will show you the result of our morning's work. It's now 1:05. We finished for sure by 1:30, and we started at 20 to 10 this morning. We lifted 26 acres, so things have went well. The fields are looking a little bit rough at the minute, but honestly they'll be 100% once they get a bit of rain and a bit of the soil is washed off the grass again. Back over later in the week and do a little conclusion to this video and show you the resulting damage of our day's silage. For now, I'll see you later on. I guess I'm washing this again. Okay, so the 5th cut kind of fit in the silo. Doesn't really matter if it's out past the drain here because this whole yard drains into a tank anyway. The compactor was useful up until about an hour ago, and then at that point we couldn't get up the hill anymore, so the rest of it just had to be buck raked normally, but a lot of it was compacted. So let's go up and see if the cover's buried. That's always the problem. To be fair, they done well to get so much in, as I give them like no room to buck rake this grass at all. And they haven't buried the cover. Wow. That's very successful. We have never had this much silage, not even close. Normally by the middle of October, we will be halfway through one of these pits of silage, and we have to just open this for the first time tomorrow. So we've tons of silage. It's just a pity it doesn't fit. It's also well stacked up as well. You can see it's above the walls, which is unusual, and it's all been compacted. So you get about 15 to 20% more in than if it wasn't done using the compactor. Grass is actually quite dry, as in 21-22% dry matter, so it's workable. It's not going to slide out of the pit. It's now been 4 days since this was cut. This was the wet field, believe it or not. It looks to have recovered amazingly well. This is the first time I've seen it as well, and I'll be honest, I'm actually stunned that it has recovered so well. But we'll go into this second field and we'll go take a look at some of the tracks and look in detail. Maybe it just looks good from the distance, maybe it's not so good up close, so let's go find out. I really need to remove that stupid gate post. It's been there for like 6 years. We'll head for the worst tracks, which are on this side of the hedge. The thing with Italian ryegrass, which a lot of people don't realise, is that it will continue growing at a lower temperature than perennial ryegrasses. That's why you get such good early spring growth out of Italian ryegrass fields. And this field will continue to grow pretty much right through the winter. So that the earliest we've ever taken first cut off these Italian ryegrass fields was actually the 17th of April. and it was a decent crop, which is hard to believe, but it's one of the nice things about it. Okay, so let's look in depth at this track here. It is probably one of the worst on the whole field. So you can see it absolutely has damaged the regrowth. But the question is whether the Italian ryegrass has survived. And I think it's pretty obvious that it has, and it is regrowing. So long term, I don't think we'll notice these tracks come the springtime. That's going to be it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed most of the 5th cut silage. We have another 17-acre field right here to get done this week, and there's 2 or 3 acres which we missed in these 2 fields. So it gives a dry weekend. Ground conditions have improved a lot this week already, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week it gives perfect weather, sunshine for 3 days straight. So my plan is to come in here on Monday, mow this off, and unfortunately we're going to round bale it on Wednesday. So honestly, I could see us having 200 round bales out of this. Such an absolutely beautiful evening here. Thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it. This YouTube channel has done much better than I ever could have imagined. I committed to doing this for a year, no matter what, but it's went well enough now that I'm pretty comfortable saying I'll do this for the long term. So if you want to subscribe, feel free. If you want to drop this a like if you enjoyed it, I'd be very happy with that too. Any comments down below, I'll try my best to reply. I will reply, like I absolutely will. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next week.